Welcome to episode 1, Leaders in Next podcast. I'm Dan.
I'm Gary.
We are co-hosts, co-founders of Leaders in Next, an NIL podcast. We've got an incredible interview coming up with Davis Warren. It's an incredible story. He's an incredible person. We talk about his journey to Michigan. We talk about his experience at Michigan, getting ready for the upcoming season, and his pursuits after football, whenever that is.
Yeah, but before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Caribou Coffee. It's the best coffee that you can drink. And if there's not a location near you, that's okay. You can go to the grocer, buy it there. And if you don't want to do that, you can go to the website. You can order bags of coffee, you can order the K-Cups, or you can order the ready-to-drink version of Caribou Coffee. But do yourself a favor and drink Caribou Coffee.
What's the light roast one, the K-Cup? Daybreak? Is that the one?
Daybreak. Highly recommended.
Every day, no joke, I get my day started with a K-Cup.
Life is short. Stay awake for it.
That's right. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Go Blue, and let's get started.
Welcome, Leaders in Next, joined by Davis Warren, quarterback. Davis, we are super excited to have you, man. It's awesome to have you on. I think we're really excited just to hear your story, allow you to tell your story. Super happy to have you on.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
I really appreciate your time today. And, we'll get started with, tell us, your journey to Michigan is an incredible story. I mean, for those of us that have heard at least snippets of it, can you describe how you ended up choosing Michigan in your recruitment and your college decision?
Yeah, so I think it really just started with, I knew I kind of growing up playing a lot of sports, but kind of knew football was for me kind of all along, and realized as I went into high school that football was really something that I wanted to pursue. I knew I had some talent. I didn't really know exactly how it was going to manifest itself at the next level or where I was going to end up, whether I could play big time football or being from Southern California, it's kind of a hotbed. So I knew the talent around me was already at that, some of guys that were already at that level. So I did have an idea of kind of where I stacked up. But again, I wasn't totally sure, I hadn't fully committed to it. I played a ton of sports growing up, which I think was the best thing for me at the time. And then when I really started to focus on football, not really honestly till after my freshman year of high school, that's when I knew I had an opportunity to play somewhere. And then going through high school, of course, some people have heard it, some people haven't, but was diagnosed with leukemia in 2019. Acute myeloid leukemia kind of came out of nowhere. Wasn't expecting it, wasn't fully shocked by it and everything that kind of comes with that. And that did really throw a wrench in kind of my plans. And, you're just trying to make it to the next day or the next week or the next month. You don't even know what that looks like. And so you really have to take that dreams and goals that I had and just kind of put them off to the side, put them on hold for a little bit. But one thing that really helped me out is, I don't even know who said it, to be honest, but there's a quote. It's run the mile you're in. And that's something that really resonated with me and really helped me out, because it was I couldn't even run, but I also can't run the mile of trying to go play at the next level or doing whatever it was to get better at football. The goal at the time was just to get healthy. So that kind of experience led me to just realizing everyone has their own journey, their own path. My journey was different, probably as unique as it can come. I haven't heard a lot of stories similar to it, but it did just teach me so much about kind of myself and about the world around me and the people around me and the people that really care about me. And I think it made me better for it. But like you said, it definitely redirected my journey to getting here to Michigan.
And, what other schools were you looking at the time? I mean, it was tough because you didn't get to play an awful lot of football in high school. And so people didn't have a lot of tape on you, and you had the talent, but a lot of people didn't know probably much about you. What other schools were in the consideration set?
Yeah, I was initially kind of coming out. When I got out of treatment, got to play a couple games at the end of during my junior season, which was kind of a miracle in of itself. And I'm just so grateful for my doctors and nurses and strength coaches and football coaches and trainers and my parents who, especially my mom, who let me even go out on the field after how incredible that and like just insane that experience was. I mean, I was actually talking to a kid today that I met at the hospital, and he said, we were talking, and he's a hockey player. He's trying to get back out there and start playing. And I kind of forgot about this as part of my journey, but when I was going back to school and kind of getting out of treatment, the doctors, like where my platelet count was at, my doctors were really worried about me getting on a plane because anything fell out of the overhead bin and hit me in the head while we were on the flight, or with where my platelets were at, which is like kind of the cells that repair any damages within your body and like scabs you have, or bruises, anything like that. Like they were worried if anything fell on my head, I could have like a traumatic brain injury just from a piece of, luggage from the overhead bin. So, and then like a month later, I was playing in a game. So that kind of coming out of that, and obviously was not even anywhere close to 100% of where I wanted to be at, or even feeling close to 100%. I just slowly worked my way up to being capable of playing, and then played a little bit. But it wasn't me. And that wasn't that wasn't a kid like that. The kid that was out there was not the kid that was getting recruited to play college football. No other way to say it. And then I would say it took really until January, February of 2020 to feel like I was, 100% of where I wanted to be. So when that happened, and then COVID struck. So it's like, just felt like things just kept hitting me. But once I started to feel better, I did believe, I always kind of knew all along that, man, I can still do this. I can still play college football. Like this can still happen. But with everything I went through, there's still that doubt in your mind of if you can really do this. And I had to prove more than to anyone else. I had to prove to myself that I still had it in me, and that kid that was getting recruited before I got sick was still there. And I actually went down. I got the opportunity to train with Joe Burrow and a couple other guys for the draft. A guy named Jordan Palmer let me come down. That was probably 2 or 3 days before COVID officially started. And I got to go down there and train and see him up close, and Josh Allen, a couple other guys. And not that I was at their level at all, but I realized and noted, and it was clear that I had talent and was capable of playing at a high level. And then with the help of a guy named Cam Cameron, who actually used to be a coach here, and he came and saw me throw and saw what I was capable of, and he really opened the door for me that I could play. The key for me was just getting my foot in the door at a high level Power 5 program, because at that time I was looking at Ivy Leagues and stuff like that, and that was something that I was willing to do, and I thought would be a great opportunity for me. My academics are really important to me and to my family, so that I was super excited about those opportunities. But when he said, man, you got to find a way to get to a Power 5 program, that was really eye-opening for me. And then, obviously at that point, I think probably every program in the country had a quarterback committed, so I wasn't going to get a scholarship offer, but I got some preferred walk-on opportunities, and Michigan and Duke were kind of my final two, and Michigan just stood out to me with Coach Harbaugh and everything they had going, and the school, and the way Coach Harbaugh was. I mean, Coach Harbaugh really sold it to me. Just he's such a special individual, and really cared about us, cared about this program, and just wanted to win. And from day one, he made me feel like, from the first time talking to him, he made me feel like I was, the 5-star guy coming in. And the coaching staff gave me that attention and made me feel wanted, and it was just a perfect match.
That's incredible. I think the word adversity is sometimes overused. A lot of people talk about adversity. Certainly the circumstances you faced, true adversity, between the things health-related you had to overcome and COVID right after that, it's crazy. And when you look back, are there any key moments or key people that you really remember as part of that journey back to playing ultimately quarterback at the University of Michigan that really stand out?
Yeah, I think, like I said, Cam Cameron was huge for me. We still talk to this day. He's just a great guy and believes in me. And I think that's really important, just having people that believe in you. Of course, like my parents, got to shout them out, because without them, I wouldn't be here. And to them just reminded me of how strong I can be, how strong I am, and being able to persevere through whatever comes up. And then I would say, yeah, I had a strength coach at my high school he was incredible. His name, Coach Volkmore. There's no book on coming back from cancer to play football. There's no guidelines, medical research. There's plenty of stuff on how to return to normal life and get back to, whatever, but there's not that for playing a violent sport like football. And I think him, in conjunction with my doctors and my coach, Chris Maleo, who was also instrumental, he was another person who helped me get here and made me realize that I really could play football at a Power 5 level. And he would call when I was sick. He started calling me every day and checking in. He'd send me film and the playbook just so I could fill my mind with something and feel like I was doing something. But Coach Volkmore, he really set out a plan for me to make me feel like I could come back and play. And he was just really smart about it. I remember the first day, it was 10 push-ups and plank for this long and 10 air squats and 15 step-ups or whatever it was. And he even worked with the doctors within the parameters the doctors had set for me in terms of my heart rate, and did some stuff with me with a Fitbit and trying to, see how my heart was responding to kind of getting back to activity after not being in it. And so he just he should write a book on it at this point, because he really just built this platform for me to feel comfortable, for me to feel comfortable, for my parents to feel comfortable, for the doctors to feel comfortable that what I was doing was appropriate and could put me in the best position. Because when I first went and saw him that first day, it was probably 150 pounds. I had a couple strands of hair in my head. I had not an ounce of muscle. I was a beanpole. And from that was September. And then by January, I was probably 185 pounds, and felt like I could do whatever I wanted, and was working out normally with the guys and stuff like that. So he meant a lot to me, and he's probably a guy that maybe goes unsung a little bit compared to my quarterback coaches or different stuff like that. But he was really special.
That's incredible. Do you feel like there was a moment that you felt like, I'm back? I was 150 pounds. I was just doing a couple of air squats, but now I can compete. Was there a moment that stood out that said, you know what, I'm back. I feel comfortable. I can do this.
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned, that session that I got to go down and throw a burrow, that was pretty special. And then I think I the more I think about that question, when COVID first happened, you get locked down, you don't know what you can do, what you can't do, if you can go to the gym, if you can't go to the gym.
Right.
It's just no one knew what was going on. So I remember me and my brother, Carter, who's a couple years younger than me, we went over the local elementary school has a couple pull-up bars that I'm sure they used in 1970 for pull-up testing, which they don't even do anymore.
No, I remember. I'm old enough to remember. By the way,
back when you were 30.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if they do PE. Who knows?
The old presidential test they used to do.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we're done with that.
Even I did
But
that
you had
one.
those, and they were so old, like they didn't even have like any grip on them. But we didn't have anything else to do, so we're like, well, let's just do a Murph, which is a mile run, and then it's 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, and then another mile. And it's like a big CrossFit thing, like people, but it's, of course, you can do it with such little equipment, and we had no equipment in our house. And we did that. And I think we started doing them about once a week. They're brutal. They're really hard.
We're doing a Murph a week.
Yeah, some CrossFit guys like do them with like vests on, which I have no clue how they do that. That seems really, really, really impressive. But yeah, we did that, and that kind of getting those going and feeling like I was doing those, that really made me feel accomplished and like, okay, like I'm back, like I'm getting somewhere physically. And I kind of mentally felt like I had maybe a little bit of a brain fog from the chemo, which there's been some research on that. And so I felt like I was coming out of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I really knew that I could kind of push the envelope.
Now, you mentioned you came to Michigan as a walk-on, and you're on scholarship now. How did that come about? I suspect you just didn't get some email from the university saying, "Hey, we got great news." So, tell us. Was there a big celebration? Was it a big surprise? Did you know it was coming?
Yeah, I didn't know it was coming. Coach Harbaugh actually called me on my birthday.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was pretty cool. I don't think he planned that. I think it's just how it worked out. But yeah, it was January 9th, and getting the call. It was a pretty special moment. Just feeling, like you work hard and you come into a program like Michigan as a walk-on, preferred walk-on. Me, Peyton O'Leary, Max Bredesen, and Joe Taylor were all best friends, roommates. We all came in as walk-ons together now. And now we all feel like we're contributors, which is pretty cool and, pretty unusual for 4 walk-ons like that to be able to, feel like at this point now we're seniors, we're leaders on the team. And so, you come in with a chip on your shoulder and feel like you want to be successful, you want to do things at a high level, you want to play at this level, but you came in as a walk-on. So you start behind the 8 ball, and I think Michigan, more than a lot of programs, does a great job of giving us opportunities. First off, recruiting great walk-ons. Steve Kasula, like I said, like he treated me like I was coming in as a scholarship quarterback and prepared me, and was always talking to me. We have a great relationship. He left to go to UMass to be the offensive coordinator. He's back now as a tight ends coach, which is awesome. Just great to have him back, and he recruited all of us, and so just feeling like that hard work pays off and validates that bet that you placed on yourself. Because all of us walk-ons who came to Michigan, or even guys that were 2 3-star recruits, who like a Mason Graham, who was a 3-star guy, or Kenneth Grant, 3-star guy who came to Michigan, we bet on ourselves because there's a lot of 4 and 5-star guys in this program. So, you bet on yourself, and it's nice to see that bet pay off. Of course, once I reach that goal, it's like, well, what's next? So I'm already, feeling like I've done my kind of duty as being kind of behind the scenes and whatnot. And now the new goal is to be the starting quarterback, and betting on myself in the same way. So it just feels like that's something that I can always look back on and be grateful for, and have gratitude towards Coach Harbaugh and the rest of the staff for making that happen. And gives me confidence in myself that I can go out and achieve my next goal, which is, being the guy out there on Saturdays.
That's incredible. So Steve recruited you, Peyton, and Max Bredesen and Joe Taylor all as walk-ons?
All in the same year. Well, Max is a little different because his brother played here, so he kind of already had some allegiance. I don't know if Coach Kasula had to work that hard to get him.
That's fair.
But Michigan sells itself to begin with. But
he's got a great eye for talent.
He's got an eye for talent, no doubt.
You may know this, but if you stay off message boards, maybe you don't. But after the spring game, your first spring game, you kind of lit it up. There were a lot of people saying, "Hey, man, we got to get this kid on scholarship." They were a lot of people pulling for you.
I lost you guys for a minute there.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say,
you're back.
We're back. I don't know when you were on scholarship, but the spring game 2 springs ago, you were like, you had a really great spring game, and it was the first time people got like, "Hey, who's this guy?" And there were a lot of people pulling. They were really worried that we needed to get you on scholarship, right away. So you had a lot of fans. You had a lot of people pulling for you. I'm pretty sure Harbaugh made his own decision, but it probably didn't hurt. There were a lot of people in your camp at that point.
I appreciate it. That was a good game. That was a fun time. Hopefully we can run it back this year and maybe a little warmer too. So that'll be good.
I remember that. That was a cold one. I was going to follow up. Yeah. You mentioned you connected with an old friend who's now trying to get back and play hockey. What advice did you give him? Obviously you've been through an incredible experience, and he's trying to do the same. What was some of the advice you gave?
Yeah, I think we'll just kind of starting off. Like I've realized kind of since I've developed this platform, or realized the platform I have being at Michigan, being a quarterback, and just the incredible fan base that we have. Like, I do have an incredible opportunity to inspire other kids. And I wish I could say that I was super proactive about it at first, but I really wasn't. For a while, I didn't want to be that kid, and didn't want to be the kid with cancer, or the kid who had this, or I just wanted to be. I just want to be anything but that, because for so long I was trying to get out of that hospital as much as I could. But then kind of as I started, the spring game, and I don't know, people started to hear about my story and my journey to get into Michigan, I sort of just fell into it. People reaching out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter or through the athletics department, and whether it's their son or daughter or grandson, or I had someone reach out to me about their grandma. It's just and what they're going through and their journey, and just asking if I can send a video or something like that, and it made me realize, going through my journey, I had all the Michigan people love Jared Goff. He sent me a video, and that meant a lot to me, and we've ended up being able to grow our relationship a little bit actually from that, which is pretty cool. But
nice.
And other quarterbacks and stuff like that, but I didn't really have anyone who had gone through it. And so, and as much as, even Coach Harbaugh, we went with the trophy actually after the national championship. We brought the trophy to the Children's Hospital, and people could come up and take pictures, and Coach Harbaugh can say anything to him, and they admire Coach Harbaugh, and that's great and is awesome. But for me to look him in the eye and show him the scar that I have in my arm, and the picture I have from when I was sick and sitting in the hospital chair and had hair in my head, and for them to see that, like, that only takes it to a whole nother level. And so I started, like I said, I fell into it at first, but then I realized I can be partnering with LaFontaine and You Can't Survive, which is a great organization out of Southeast Michigan, and partner with everything that they're doing. It's just been so fulfilling for me, and really made my journey feel like it was worth it. Because childhood cancer, man, it's rough, and it's hard, and seeing it firsthand, there's it's going in those rooms and on those floors, and you see what kids are going through, and you just want to do anything you can to help them. And even if you put a smile on their face for 5 minutes and give them a little bit more hope, and appreciate that they have people cheering for them. Because that's really what I tell those kids, is that, like, they inspire me, and I think about them just as much, probably more than they think about me. Like, that's they remind me of that, and they give me more than I can ever give them. So it's pretty special.
That's incredible, man. That's absolutely incredible. And now you're playing football. And now you've gone into this next. Sorry, 1 second.
He lost his voice on the way to this podcast.
Bad timing, I know. And now you've got. It's interesting because now you've made this transition to playing football, and I think one of the things that always I think about is millions of people watch these games, and they see the end result of weeks and months and years of preparation to watch, whatever happens on the field on Saturday. As a quarterback now, as you prepare for these games at the highest level, whether you're starting, it doesn't really matter. I'm sure you're preparing to be the starter always. Lead the team down the field and win. Are there overlooked details specifically about being a quarterback, like things that are in those weeks and months leading up to it that really the people who watch it on Saturday maybe have no appreciation for, don't even know, but are part of the grind every day and every week that, a technique, a strategy that maybe just people don't know about?
Oof. It's a great question. I think the first thing that pops in my mind is just how much of a fine motor movement throwing a football is. Anyone can play catch in their backyard and throw on their time when they want to, and just take 2 steps and just lay one out there. But the fine motor skill
on the message board that do think that they can do that. Yes.
And which is great. And I will definitely be doing the same thing one day when my playing days are over and playing catch with my kid or whatever. But I think just starting with that, I think it is full-time trying to refine those details of that motion. And I work with guys out in California, 3D QB and Taylor Kelly, John Beck, and Adam, they're training JJ right now for the draft, so they'll be back out here for the pro day. But it really, honestly, I think the best, I know we talked about golf a little bit, but the best comparison is the golf swing. And it is similar to golf in so many ways, not just, I'm not even saying the rotation aspect of it, because, the turn is similar but different. But just how fine of a motor movement it is, and you think about how much time those golfers spend on their swing and little details and little feels within that swing, and it's the same thing with throwing a football. And so being able to pattern certain things and work on this and work on that and developing those feels to feel like you can really feel confident out there to throw the football into tight windows and with velocity or touch and that's really something I'm working on this offseason is working on that touch ball and that 2-ball, kind of that little layered ball, and not always having to throw the fastball, but that's so different than any other position. A lot of positions are not to discredit playing receiver or running back or tight end or anything or O-line, there's a lot of technique there, but the fine motor movement that is throwing a football, I think sometimes goes overlooked, and it comes naturally. It comes naturally to me. I feel like I'm a natural thrower of the football, but even still, stuff to work on and tightening up the footwork to tie it to my eyes and to my arm. And I think that's the other thing is, and something that Coach Campbell has done a great job with, and I've continued to work on, is tying your feet to your eyes and your eyes to your feet. He likes to use that duck mentality where the duck underneath the water is, going right here, but all you see is that duck above the water just smooth gliding across. And so it's the same thing, down low, your legs are working and your feet are working to get you aligned, but up top, that kind of that throwing motion and also just the way your mind works and the way your mind sees the field is all clear and smooth. And I think that's something, we got an incredible model of it last year from JJ, and I got to see his development as he progressed with Coach Campbell in there. And I know that I've already done the same thing with him in there, and it's only going to grow. So I'm just excited to get going with spring ball and show what I've been working on, because I really have been doing everything I can to put myself in the best position possible.
I mean, so, and while you're doing all of that, you're also attending one of the top business schools in the country at Ross here at Michigan. And I'm not sure, maybe you give people appreciation for, I'm not sure people fully appreciate how hard it is to be a student, how hard it is to be an athlete, and how incredibly hard it is when you put the two together. I mean, I think you're two-time now academic All Big Ten honoree.
I think so.
Yeah, and so you're obviously doing both really well. I mean, how do you make that work?
Man, I think it is a lot of time. It's a lot of balancing of both. Sometimes, you got to sacrifice a little bit of sleep or something like that to get things done. So I think that's the first thing is you got to be smart with your time. Know what you got to do when you got to do things. I keep a nice little sticky note thing in the corner of my laptop and always rewriting and write stuff on there, figuring out when I got to get stuff done or GCal and this and that. But it's also, the course load isn't too bad at times, but I do find that especially during the season or during spring ball, it does get a little hectic. And I think Coach Campbell says it well of like getting your stuff done earlier in the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, trying to get as much done as you can or just be ahead is way easier than coming from behind. And that's definitely something I learned because freshman fall in Ross really isn't too bad. It's like one class. And then I was taking just general ed requirements I was taking like Hinduism and a couple other things. But then as I started to get more into the business classes, and Ross is pretty strict with their curriculum, like
Right.
you can't skip a beat and you got to be on top of things. So it's a constant battle, but I feel like I do a pretty good job of it. And the people in the Michigan, the football program understands how important the academic side of it is. So they don't shortchange any of that, which is really nice.
Well, I'll save it. I've got a lot of Hinduism questions. I guess I'll save those for the next. Just kidding.
So
What drove your decision to enroll in Ross? I mean, it's as my dad mentioned, it's a lot to take on, and even with great time management, it's a lot to pursue a business degree and pursue football at the highest level. What interested you about joining Ross? And obviously, business is a broad field. Are there any areas within that business degree that really interest you or you found a lot of passion in?
Yeah, I think why was just, I kind of knew I always wanted to go to business school, just, something that I was always kind of been interested in and knew I wanted to do. And then like I kind of said with my decision, like I wanted to go to the best football school I could go to, and I wanted to go to the best academic school I could go to. And I figured if I could surround myself with the best football players, I'd become the best football player I could be. And if I could surround myself with the best, students around the country, because that's really what Ross, around the world, that's really what Ross is, then I could do that as well. So that's what drove it. And if I wasn't going to do engineering or, med school, pre-med or anything like that. And so Ross I knew I wanted to challenge myself, and I knew that's the only way that I would be able to come out of this Michigan experience and feel like I accomplished something. And so that's why I had no doubt in my head that Ross is where I wanted to be. And then in terms of just within Ross, was able to join the Alternative Investments Club, which the clubs in Ross are a really big deal. So that's been, able to just do a little bit more and be involved with that and just develop even, relationships with different kids and meet kids that are doing internships all over the place, the biggest, companies in New York and Chicago, and getting a firsthand look at what they're doing. And I mean, I'm right here and they're up there. They're incredible kids and are really smart. And it's just nice to be surrounded by people like that outside of football. Then I know, Dan, like, me and you talked about kind of the healthcare side of things is actually pretty interesting to me. I actually funny enough, I met two kids today who are childhood cancers. One's going through it. Another kid I actually met playing golf. And he's actually trying to be a doctor. And we had a pretty interesting conversation because people always ask me if I want to be a doctor no, I do not want to be a doctor. I am sure of that, regardless of my experience and how grateful I was for the doctors I had. But I actually think, being surrounded by some things in the healthcare kind of industry as I've kind of gone through Ross and seen different things, that's something that, I definitely could be interested in and have firsthand experience with. So it definitely hits a little closer to home and, just kind of seeing where it takes me.
Now, with your schedule, could you even, you mentioned some of these other kids had internships. Is that even a possibility that you could do during your time?
Not really. Some stuff in Detroit area, but, week-long things, stuff like that. But, might do something when I'm home in May in Southern California, but not time for a 3-month internship in New York City or Chicago. Those things. It's just crazy how prepared these kids are, and I think the clubs do a great job of preparing the kids for the interviews and all the recruiting that goes on at Ross. That's really the entryway is through the club. So I've really been able to get a firsthand look at how they operate, and although I really can't participate in a lot of those things, I'm seeing it and seeing how we're. And when it's my time to do that, I'm going to be have the right resources to make it happen. So it's good to have that kind of base covered.
That's incredible.
So when your football career is over 20 years from now,
well, that's the hope is the football career ends and I can just do it leisurely rather than as an actual job. But
so right now it sounds like leaning towards something in business, possibly healthcare after that long career is over in football. Not coaching. No coaching.
I don't know. I feel like people always ask me that too, like if I want to get into coaching, and
we're always looking for a new head coach every 10, 15 years. So it could be good timing.
A good paycheck, but
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So we'll see. But maybe if I get out of football and then realize I love it too much, then I'll come back.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, the healthcare space is so vast, and obviously some people decide to pursue that clinically, as a physician, but there's so many other industries that sort of live in that healthcare space. And when you and I were catching up earlier, you mentioned the Whoop, the Fitbit, and wearables are a big new thing in healthcare, and it is interesting. Your experience being as unique as it was, you kind of experienced a element of healthcare that was probably unique even 4 years ago, but I think is a big part of what the future looks like in terms of being able to get some of your healthcare data yourself in real time. And it just so happens that was a big part of your recovery, right? In terms of your path back.
Yeah. So like I kind of mentioned, I Coach Volkmore, who was my kind of strength coach and helped me get back to return to play in terms of coming back from chemo. He recommended tracking my heart rate variability, which I'm pretty sure is the space between your heartbeats, and tracking that in the morning when I wake up to see how my heart was responding to the stress that I was putting on it. Because one of the major issues that came up in my kind of return to play protocol was my heart and the stressors or the stress that chemo can put on your heart. And kids, that's kind of second to the concern of relapse is, issues surrounding your heart for kids as a post-treatment. And so that was something that the doctors were monitoring really closely and getting echoes and stress tests and stuff like that to see how my heart was responding and coming out of chemo, the health of it. But those on a daily basis, you can't go get an echo every day to see how your heart responded to, or a stress test every day to see how your heart responded to whatever you did yesterday. But there was this new technology coming up, the Whoop band, which is really popular now, but 2019, I'm not sure exactly how popular it was at the time. But what we ended up doing is just getting a Fitbit, and I had to keep my heart rate below 120 when I was working out. And then on top of that, tracking in the morning what my heart rate variability was to just kind of see how my heart was responding to what I was doing. And then, that was for the first couple weeks of my recovery process and rehab, you could call it. And then, went back to the doctor and he saw kind of how I was progressing. And then we did I think we might have done another stress test and an echo. And then after that, he felt comfortable raising that heart rate number higher. So I think we went like 145, 150. And then kind of the same thing for a week or so. And then ended up allowing me to return to just, kind of cutting it loose. Still being cautious, of course. But so I think that was something that is just probably, in my opinion, can be the future of certain levels of care and made a big difference for me. And yeah, it took trust from the doctor. It took trust from Coach Volkmar to make that happen, but it worked really well. And so it just kind of shows how
that's incredible.
How that and with all the wearables people wearing these days with the Apple Watch and all that stuff, there's so much data on if you have a wearable on, there's every second there's data versus you go into the doctor's office and it's once every 6 months or 8 months or whatever it is. So and I think it applies both on the front end too of early detection. So seems like something that is only growing more and more and something that I kind of keep an eye on as, I'm not only from looking at it from my perspective, but also kids that I meet and kids that are asking me about how they want to get back to playing and doing stuff. I've recommended the Whoop to multiple kids as an easier way to track kind of what you're doing and how they're feeling and give the doctors some peace of mind because, I think from my perspective, what helped me is the doctor I had in that helped me with getting back to playing. He was a marathon runner. And so he understood the kind of athlete persona and how important it was to me instead of just being okay with me getting out of the hospital and being safe. He was willing to help and work with me, which I can never repay him for that. And just made it just a kind of ecosystem around me to get me back on the field.
Well, it's been an interesting, I think it's 5 years this month.
Yep.
So
5 years.
It sounds like it's a heck of a journey, a great story in terms of the recovery and getting to the highest level athletically and certainly academically. Dan, before we go to the 2 minute, we're going to run a 2 minute offense, Davis.
Which may not be 2 minutes. We don't know. We have no idea. We've never done this before.
I mean,
so.
I can try to make it 2 minutes. I can be quick.
No, you don't need to. Not at all. But we got.
We have a couple timeouts.
We got at least two timeouts. Yep.
All right.
A lot of people, they see Coach Harbaugh. Some people always see him from afar, and on TV and things like that. And Dan and I have had pleasure of meeting him and chatting with him, just one-on-one. And but I'm curious, do you have a favorite Harbaugh story? And now Davis, he is gone now. So
just kind of open the gate up.
Yeah, well, no, but there's he's got some great. I mean, you just hear so many great stories about the guy. Just curious if you've got any that you wanted to share.
Oh man. Oof. I mean, it's like so many things going in my mind right now of where I could go with this.
Well, while you're thinking of one, this doesn't. I by no means am in a place to give a Harbaugh story, but I think it was Aiden Hutchinson a few years ago. He's telling his favorite Harbaugh story, and he says, "Yeah, I'm driving with Coach Harbaugh down the highway, and Coach Harbaugh looks, and he says, beautiful full moon tonight." And Aiden goes, "Coach, that's a Burger King sign." Yeah, I don't know if you heard that. Did you hear that one? But I will come to Coach Harbaugh's defense. I've driven past that, early flight or late flight, heading to the airport. I swear to God, like 6 to 8 times I've looked up and been like, is that the moon? No, shit, it's the Burger King sign. So I'm going to defend Coach on that one because it's tricked me a few times too.
I think, well, one thing about Coach Harbaugh is he loves like the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a continuing story. Like we were up on our trip of Michigan and we were up in the Upper Peninsula. We did a day up there where we did like the Sioux Locks. We did like there's a bear camp or bear zoo up there.
Okay.
I'm not sure how legal it is, but it exists.
Sounds like a Tiger King sort of thing going on.
It truly was. And it was 2021 or 2022 somewhere, like wasn't too long after that or before that Tiger King was out. So it was like everyone's kind of like, what's going on here? But anyway, and so he and then he, we have the whole team is on this trip and we bussed like almost everywhere. So it's like 5 buses. They're all wrapped. They all say Michigan football, so everyone knows who we are. And we're going to like these small places, so it's like so obvious. And he redirects the whole trip, the whole bus, to go to the shipwreck museum, like the Lake Superior Shipwreck Museum, or like something like that. And it's like all the way, like you got to get, and it's up there. And it's not even a big museum. It's literally like a refurbished church is pretty much what the whole museum is. And like this one other section. But he was convinced that we had to go there. So we went up there. It was freezing. It's late July. It's like 45 degrees up there. No one packed like heavy jackets, or anything like that. And we're up there. And it was like in true, shipwreck fashion. It's windy. There's some, the lake's a little stormy,
a little choppy.
We're up there. Yeah, and we spent like 2 hours there just hanging out.
2 hours.
I mean, he probably read every plaque, every paragraph, and then on top of that, on Edmund Fitzgerald Day, which is sometime in October. Is it sometime in October?
We'll have to fact check that.
We'll have to fact check that because I have no idea.
It's during the fall. It's during the fall. I can guarantee it's during the fall.
Let me consult.
And he will play the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald song over and over and over and over again at practice. So, it doesn't matter if it's warming up, if it's whatever it is, and he'll play it and he'll stand there and smile and listen to it, and he loves that song. So I would say
November 10th of 1975.
There it is. Right?
Similar to when those monkey bars were
so he'll play that, and you got to be ready to listen to it.
Well, that's awesome.
That's incredible.
All right. Well, let's I think a lot of people outside the Michigan fan base probably misunderstand him a little bit. I enjoyed the couple conversations I had with him, and so did a great job. Wish him well.
Yes, seriously.
So, 2-minute drill. You're a quarterback, so you're going to get this. You're going to nail this. If you weren't a football player, and I think I know the answer to this, but if you weren't a football player, what sport would you be playing?
It's golf, not even close. I love golf.
Are you in that scenario? Are you on the Live Tour or the PGA?
Ooh,
that's a great question. I actually did a presentation on it, which is really hard to explain in 3 minutes to a group of kids who don't understand golf. But I feel like I gotta be a PGA Tour. Saying Live would probably make some people mad. But if the opportunity presented itself where it seems like Live is like gonna merge, maybe I'd jump over for a quick, 8,
for a paycheck,
9-digit paycheck, and then as they were merging,
and then you can still play the majors. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. And then before we know it, they're merged back together, and it's like it never even happened. So
yeah. Oh, good plan.
This next one, I don't know if it's going to be controversial or not, but fastest guy on the team.
Ooh, I think it's Iman Dennis. Iman Dennis he can fly. He plays gunner, plays receiver. He can move. So I would probably say he is he's probably fastest. I don't even think it's a debate, too. I think it's
Really? I was going to ask, is there like a close second that could, on a good day, take him?
I don't know. I really don't think it's that close. I think
Really?
Keyshawn Harris is fast. Yeah, I don't think it's that close, to be honest. He flies around he's just yeah. So I don't think it's close. I think they asked that question at one of the media days before the Rose Bowl or the Natty, and I think it was pretty clear that it was that Iman. There was a general consensus. It wasn't like some of those other videos you see where it's like 15 different guys.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So you got to pick one guy. It's a who's the toughest guy on the team? Like you're going to send somebody out to the center, and the other team's going to pick their toughest guy. Who you sending out for the battle royale? Yeah,
I think we actually, me and one of my roommates and best friends is Max Bredesen, our fullback. So I'm going to nominate him, and on top of that, I'd say we have this term called like foxhole guys. So like, who's a guy that you want to, in the foxhole with you?
Sweet.
If we were, storming the beaches of Normandy or something like that. And so Max, 100% a foxhole guy, and I think that sums him up pretty well. And he's gritty and
well, I think that that guy that he ran over against Alabama would second that vote.
Yeah. He would second the vote. He'll get another taste of it too, which is great. So
yeah,
that's right.
That was a bogus 15-yard penalty, by the way. So we're not going to talk about that.
I can't believe that.
That was terrible.
Awful. How about stranded on an island? You got to pick one movie. I guess there's somehow power on this island, but you can just pick one. What are you going with?
One movie to watch.
One movie to watch. Only movie you can ever watch again. What are you going with?
Oh, jeez. I'm not like a big movie guy. Like I don't watch.
Too.
Like
you
I'm
can throw a book in there. If that's
between my roommates and my girlfriend, and like I just haven't seen some of the movies that like you definitely should have seen. So, which is totally my fault. Like I'll take the blame for that 100%. I should have used COVID a little better, I guess.
If you want to say Real Housewives of Miami, that's okay. It's a safe space.
I brush up on that, but one movie. Man, I love. I would. I feel like probably Interstellar. I know it's kind of basic of an answer.
No, that's.
But it is a good movie. Yeah, Interstellar, The Notebook, good movie. I don't know. I'm bad with movies. I'm bad with movies.
No, Interstellar is a good call because it's a
a
little
real
complicated.
stain.
Right.
I'm not. Yeah, I can't go off rattling movie quotes and stuff like that. I mean, maybe you go a comedy.
I can recommend one that I highly recommend. I've watched it several times. Is the when Michigan played Washington most recently for the national championship.
3-hour movie. Yeah,
you can watch that and pause it and rewind it. It's
like the Tom Brady NFL films of him at his time in Michigan.
Just slow motion spirals. That's right.
Yeah.
What do you got, Dan?
All right.
What's next? What's next?
Last one. What?
No, I got
last one.
I got one. I got one more after this.
Oh, you got one. You got a bonus one. Okay. What's your top spot to eat in town?
Top spot to eat in town. Well, the place I eat the most is probably Chipotle. That's probably general around the team is up there. But if I were to pick one spot to go eat, I think I have to go Monty, the Italian spot.
Oh yeah,
phenomenal. The pizza is off the charts. The chicken parm is just so good. So and some great appetizers. So it's a little pricey. Wouldn't go there all the time, but when I get the chance, I take advantage of it. And if there was one spot, I think that would definitely be it.
Well,
Nice.
we're gonna tag him in it and see if we can get a free meal out of it. All right, this last one is a personal one.
Okay.
Should your buddy Max have scored on that throw you made to him in the Hawaii game 2 years ago?
100%. He should have scored then. If you rewatch the video, it's the more you watch it, the worse it gets. It's truly bad.
What mistake did he make? Should he have cut it back or?
He should have just stayed with his block. He tried to cut back inside and go. I mean, technically he is a fullback now, so you can't really give him that much crap for it because it was he plays fullback, so why would you expect him to score on an over route? But he's a tight end at heart, and he really should have scored. He should have scored then. We gave him a fullback dive against Rutgers last year, where he scores on that play every time in Madden. So he should probably have scored on that play too. That's his go-to play at the 2-yard line. It's unstoppable. He's an insane Madden player. I don't really play video games that much, but I feel like I'm an okay Madden player, and he's incredible. So he should have scored then too. So yeah, but 0 for 2 right now. Not that I have a touchdown to speak on, but I would have one if he would have scored.
Well, if we get him on, which we'll try
we're gonna have to get him. We're gonna have to get him on the podcast, and
we'll give him as much grief as
you want. So much. Play the video over and over, full breakdown with arrows and lines and circles. Just do it all.
That's
Davis,
awesome.
Thank you so much, man. This was incredible.
Yeah,
we appreciate your time, and thanks for spending it with us. And it was great talking to you, sharing all your story. And I'm sure we'll see you around soon, man.
Yep, appreciate it.
Thanks,
guys.
Take it easy.